A young teacher leaves California to start over in a small town called Pine Hollow, Oregon. He thought he'd be teaching literature, living peacefully among the trees and fog. But on his first night, he hears a lecture echoing from the second floor of a school that's been dark for hours. The next day, a student appears in his class, but she's not on the roster. And the worst part is, no one else sees her but him. This isn't just a ghost story. This is the price of forgetting the dead. When I graduated from UCLA with a degree in literature, I imagined a life full of books, cafes, and maybe a little fame. Coffee every morning, traffic jams every afternoon, and unfinished literary dreams. But that never happened. Job offers didn't come. Bills kept piling up. Then, one evening in late August, a call changed everything. We need a literature teacher, immediately. Free dormitory, 1-year contract. It was from a place I'd never heard of, Pine Hollow, Oregon. I accepted, because I had nothing left to lose. But part of me kept wondering, why the urgency? Why so far away? The bus stopped at a crumbling gas station. Flickering neon, rusted pumps. I was the only passenger who got off. A warped wooden sign swayed in the breeze. Pine Hollow, where the forest whispers. The air was cold and damp, even though it was early September. Everything felt soaked in silence. The trees loomed tall, black pines like ancient statues. And for a second, I felt like I'd stepped out of the world and into a memory that didn't belong to me. A man in his 50s leaned against an old Ford Bronco, wearing sunglasses, even in the clouds. "You're Jack? Get in," he said. "I'll take you to the school. It's about to pour." As we drove deeper into the forest, he glanced at me and asked, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I laughed, thinking it was some small-town joke. But something in his tone made the laughter stop in my throat. "This town has a few old stories," he said, "but don't let them keep you up at night." I should have known. That wasn't a joke. It was a warning. The school sat deep in the woods, like it had been forgotten or hidden. Gothic Art Deco architecture, built in 1912. The bricks were almost black from age, stained glass windows, cracked and missing pieces. It felt less like a school and more like a mausoleum. And still, I couldn't stop staring at it, not because of its beauty, but because I felt like something inside was staring back. "Your room is on the second floor, East Wing," the principal said. "Opposite the sports field. You'll teach homeroom for Class 10E. The dormitory was empty, the room damp, quiet. I closed the door and leaned against it, listening to the rain hitting the roof. I didn't know why, but my chest felt hollow, like I'd stepped into a play where the script hadn't been written yet. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by something that didn't belong. A voice, clear, rhythmic, measured. The derivative of x squared is 2x. It echoed from upstairs, not from a TV, not a radio, but from the classroom, the one that should have been empty. I held my breath and listened. There was presence in that sound, alive, real. I stepped into the hallway. No one was there. The darkness felt heavier than before. But instead of running, I walked toward it. Tuesday night, I took a walk around the school grounds after dinner. It started to drizzle. The air smelled of wet pine and old earth. Then I bumped into someone. A woman in a burgundy raincoat, long dark hair over her shoulders, an old umbrella in hand. "You're the new teacher." Her voice was soft, floating, like mist over the lake. I nodded. "My name is Haley," she said. "I used to teach here, literature." Something about her eyes. Melancholy, deep, like they held things that should have stayed buried. She smiled gently. "Don't stay at school too late," she said. "There are things that don't want to be seen." And then she was gone. No sound, no footprints, just the rain. The next day I found a dusty old lesson plan book in the teacher's lounge. A name was taped to it. Haley Moore, English Literature. My fingers trembled slightly. I could still hear her voice from last night. I asked Ms. Ramirez, one of the older teachers. "Haley?" She looked up, surprised.
She passed away 3 years ago. She fell down the stairs, died right here.
Then she asked, "Where did you meet her?"
I couldn't answer because I didn't know what was real anymore.
Class 10E had 33 students. That's what the list said. But on the first roll call, I counted 34. A girl with long hair sat at the back, near the window. She didn't answer when I called names. I asked, "What's your name?" The entire class turned to look, and then burst out laughing.
"Are you kidding, sir? The seat's empty."
I turned back. She was gone.
No sound, no trace.
Just that cold pressure on my chest, like the rules of reality were shifting. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat by the window, watching the trees sway in the wind. The pine forest whispered, like voices carried between branches. I thought about Haley, about the girl who vanished. I opened an old leather notebook. What used to be my teaching journal was now a record of fear.
Footsteps in the hallway, lights that turned on by themselves, and the scent of jasmine. In a place where no flowers grew.
I didn't tell anyone, because I couldn't even believe myself. By the 5th day, I had to know more. I told the office staff I needed curriculum files. Dana, a young assistant, led me to the archives. The basement, no lights. The air was thick with mold and forgotten things. I asked quietly, "Did someone named Haley Moore ever teach here?" Dinah hesitated, then whispered, "Don't look into that." The last person who did left without saying goodbye. I tried to smile, but my heart was ice cold. Friday night, heavy rain. At 2 a.m. I heard a knock on my door. Soft, repeating, patient. I opened it. No one was there. But when I turned around, a piece of paper was sitting on my desk. Old, yellowed, from Haley Moore's lesson book, same handwriting. But this one had red ink. A line written with a trembling hand. "Don't let it find you. It's not human." I read it again, and again. What is it? What found me? The next morning I tried to carry on, but when I entered the classroom, she was there again. The girl with long hair, head down on the desk. I walked over. "What's your name?" No answer. I tapped the desk. She slowly raised her head, eyes black as ink, skin pale as ash. Her lips moved silently. "Save." I stepped back, heart racing, hands cold, and all around me. The classroom was dead quiet, like no one else even saw her. I left the room, ran down the hall, gasping for air. Then, I heard it again. The lecture, coming from upstairs. I followed the sound, past the flickering lights. The classroom door was slightly open. I stepped in. No one. But on the board, a message written in red chalk. Today's lesson, how to die without being forgotten. I ran. Back at the dorm, I packed my things. I had to leave, but the door wouldn't open. Not because it was locked, but because something didn't want me to go. Something that was watching me. I waited until the house fell silent. Then I went to the West Wing, the one sealed off for renovations. The door creaked open. It was never locked, just avoided. The hallway was dark, the walls damp, breathing. At the end, a steel door. I pushed it open and found a spiral staircase, descending into blackness. I went down. Whispers filled the air as I descended. Men, women, children, crying, laughing. I reached the bottom,
A room lined with photographs, all crossed out in red ink. Teachers, students, faces I'd never seen, and faces I had. At the center, Haley Moore. Her photo stared at me, alive. Then I heard his voice behind me. Do you know why people like me stay, Jack? Principal trainer, but his eyes, black, skin, pale, voice, no longer human. Because the children's pain has been forgotten, and I am their last memory.
I screamed. No one heard. I ran, back up the stairs, but the door was gone. Every hallway was different. Every door led to another classroom, another bell. I ran and ran until I fell. Then everything went black.
I woke up in a hospital bed. They said I fainted. Exhaustion, that's all. No one spoke of a basement. No one remembered Haley, not even Dana. There were no records, no lesson plans, no photos, nothing.
A week later, I left Pine Hollow. No goodbyes, no explanations, just a journal, left for whoever came after me. Its first page read, "If you hear a lecture in the middle of the night, don't answer."
Now I live somewhere else, teach somewhere else. I show kids how to write stories, build their own worlds. But every night, before I sleep, I hear it. The sound of chalk, scratching against a blackboard. In my dreams, I'm lecturing to an empty classroom.
And when I turn to erase the board, it's not my writing. Today's lesson, the price of being forgotten. I turn. Haley is standing there, her hair dripping, her eyes smiling. She never left that school.
And maybe, neither did I. If you ever step into a place where everyone says something isn't right, believe them and leave before that place starts rewriting you as part of its own history.
I used to think ghosts were just stories, but that changed the night I saw her in the window of the house next door, even though she'd been missing for months. And every night after that, at exactly 11:32 p.m., the hallway light turned on. No one lived there. No one had a key. And yet, someone or something was watching me. This isn't just a ghost story. It's what happens when the dead demand justice. My name is Lucas Monroe. I'm a husband, a father, and up until last fall, a pretty rational guy. But when the house next door came alive, and when she returned, my understanding of reality unraveled. Let me tell you what really happened. It all started the week we moved to Fair Grove, Oregon, for the peace, the quiet, pine-covered hills, friendly neighbors, everything our hectic LA lives weren't. Our house sat at the bend of a U-shaped street, the kind where people decorate their mailboxes and leave casseroles on porches. Number 18 was right next to us. Identical floor plan, same beige paint. The only difference was who lived there. Chris and Maya Lynn. Chris was stiff, but polite. Maya was sunshine. She made her own candles and painted koi fish on flower pots. My wife, Melissa, got along with her. I did too. Until one day, Maya disappeared. Chris told everyone she'd gotten a job overseas. Taiwan. Tech opportunity of a lifetime. No party, no goodbye, no moving truck. Just gone. A month later, Chris left too. He didn't say where. The house sat empty. The first time it happened, I was on our upstairs balcony. Fall had rolled in heavy, bringing mist and silence. At 11:32 p.m., a light blinked on in the upstairs hallway of number 18. It startled me. I stared. 2 minutes later, it went out. I told myself it was a timer. The next night, same thing, same time, same light, then off. Night 3, I stayed up with my phone camera ready. That's when I saw her. A woman, standing motionless in the upstairs window. Long black hair, thin, pale, eyes locked on my house. She didn't blink. I blinked, and she was gone. "You're working too much," Melissa said. She wasn't wrong. I had deadlines, clients calling, but this wasn't work stress. "It was Maya," I told her. Melissa frowned. "Lucas, she's in Taiwan. You said that yourself." "Chris said that. We don't actually know." She shook her head, poured her coffee, and kissed my cheek. "No more late-night horror YouTube before bed, okay? 11:32 p.m. Light on. 11:35 p.m. Light off. Every single night." Sometimes I'd see the curtains shift. Once I thought I saw a hand. I set up a camera in the guest bedroom window. Nothing showed for days. Then one night I caught it. A figure, one frame, white dress, face blurry, then gone. I didn't sleep that night. It started with the thermostat, dropping, even when turned off, then scratching, faint at first, behind the drywall, near the staircase, then louder. One night I put my ear to the wall. I heard breathing. My office PC booted by itself at 2:14 a.m. Red screen, black letters typed slowly as if by invisible hands. "Help me." I unplugged everything. I didn't tell Melissa. How could I? The dream was different from others. I wasn't just watching. I was inside the house. Number 18. I walked down the hallway. My hands felt numb. Maya stood at the end. Her face was calm, blood on her blouse, hair over one eye. "Lucas," she said. "He lied. I'm not gone." She pointed to the floor. Then I woke up. I broke in. I know how that sounds, but I had to know. I knew the side window on the porch was always a little loose. I waited until 3 a.m. Gloves, hoodie, slipped in silently. The house was frozen. Air stale like a crypt. Floors creaked like screams held back too long. Upstairs, the hallway smelled of incense. Maya's room was immaculate. Bed made. Candles placed with precision. Inside the closet, a box. Inside the box, a scarf with dark stains. A cracked iPhone and a wedding ring. Nate was an old friend, now a sheriff's deputy. I showed him the phone, the ring. I didn't mention the dream. He promised to look into it. We went back that afternoon. Broad daylight. The box was gone. "Lucas," he said slowly, "are you feeling okay lately?" I wanted to punch him, but instead I said, "I'm fine. I'm just saying, sometimes people imagine things. This isn't in my head." He nodded. "Okay. But stop breaking into houses." That night, I heard it. Gravel crunching. I peeked through the blinds. Chris, dragging a black duffel bag into number 18. Melissa came in behind me. "He's back," I whispered. "Who?" "Chris." We watched together, silent. Chris didn't leave the house for days. No lights during the day, just one hallway bulb at night. Sometimes I'd catch him staring out the window. Not at us, just staring. Melissa said I was obsessed. "You're not sleeping, you're not eating. The kids miss you." "Something's wrong with that house," I said. "Maybe, but something's wrong with this house too." Baxter, our dog, stopped going near the shared fence. He'd bark at the air, tail tucked. One night I heard something through the central air system. "Lucas." It was a whisper. Maya's voice. I know it was. "They never found me. I couldn't sleep. Maya's voice echoed in my head. They never found me. At 4 a.m., I grabbed a flashlight and crept into our backyard. The air was damp, heavy with autumn rot. I walked to the edge of our property where our fence met the back of number 18. There was a shed, always locked, always ignored. Except now, the door was slightly ajar. I stepped inside. It smelled like mildew and rust, and something else, sweet but wrong. In the back corner, a hatch. I opened it. A narrow crawl space beneath the concrete, dug by hand. Fresh dirt, scrape marks. Something had been buried here, or unburied. I backed out of the shed, heart racing. As I stepped outside, I heard it, a click behind me. The door had shut. Not slammed. Shut. I ran back home. The next morning, I showed Melissa the ring again, the one I'd found in Maya's room. She gasped. "That's Maya's. She never took it off. I saw it at the barbecue." So she didn't leave it behind. No, that means she didn't leave. Dinner that night was quiet. The kids talked about school. Melissa forced a smile. I sat in silence, eyes fixed on the dark window facing number 18. Then, a knock. 3 slow knocks. We all froze. Melissa stood first. I followed. At the front door, no one. But on the doormat, the same ring. I had locked it in my drawer. I called Nate again. "You need to see this." He came over the next morning. I showed him the shed, the crawl space. He radioed dispatch. By evening, they had a team digging. At 9:14 p.m., they hit something. Fabric, a woman's dress, torn, buried with bones. Nate turned to me, face pale. "It's her. Maya." He nodded. And behind him, across the street, I swear I saw a silhouette in our bedroom window, watching. It wasn't Melissa. Chris was arrested that night. Nate called it in. Officers knocked on the door of number 18 at 10:03 p.m. Chris didn't run. He didn't even flinch. When they cuffed him, he looked past them, straight at me. No anger, no fear, just a slow, twisted smile. "You think it's over?" he said. And then he was gone. After Chris was taken away, I thought we'd feel relief. Closure. But it didn't come. That night, our house dropped to 55 degrees. The thermostat was set to 70. Baxter wouldn't stop barking at the hallway. And just before dawn, I found muddy footprints leading from the front door to the foot of our bed. The next dream was clearer than any before. Maya stood in our kitchen, surrounded by mist. "He didn't act alone," she said. "There's more. Look beneath." She turned, and as she walked away, the floor beneath her cracked like old bones. When I woke up, the faucet in the kitchen sink was running. And the water? Red. The investigators found Maya's body in the crawl space, but only part of it. The rest was somewhere else. Melissa and I went to a motel. The kids were scared. So were we. But I kept hearing Maya's words. Look beneath. The basement of number 18 had been sealed in 2015 after a flood. Records said it had been filled with concrete. But I remembered something Chris once said at a barbecue. Basements lie. That night I went back, sledgehammer in hand. The basement door groaned as I forced it open. Dust and silence greeted me. The air smelled old, like mildew and secrets. The floor was concrete, cracked near the center. I dragged the sledgehammer across the surface, picked a spot, and struck. The sound echoed like a church bell in a tomb. Crack. Again. Crack. By the 7th hit, the floor caved slightly. A hollow void underneath. I dropped to my knees, swept away the debris, and found wood. An old trapdoor, buried beneath fake concrete. I pried it open. Darkness stared back. I climbed down. The space was small, no taller than 6 feet. The walls were lined with wood, stained with water damage. And something else. Writing. Scrawled in marker, charcoal, even fingernails. "Help me," she cries at night. The walls breathe. "Forgive me." And in the center, a cot. Rusted chains. A blanket soaked in old blood. And bones. Not Maya's. Smaller. 2 skulls. Turns out Maya wasn't the first. Chris had a history. Hidden files. A sealed juvenile record from California. A runaway girl in '98. Another in '03. He moved often. Changed names. Erased trails. Until he met Maya, and she got too close. That hidden room had been used before. The police excavated everything. DNA confirmed 2 unidentified victims. Maya had led them to more than just her own grave. We held a vigil for Maya, and the others. People from the neighborhood came. Flowers, candles, soft prayers under breath. As the last flame flickered out, I stayed behind. I whispered, "You did it. They found the truth. You can rest now." That night I dreamed of her one last time. She stood in the garden. No mist, no blood. Just Maya. Whole. Peaceful. She smiled. "Thank you, Lucas," and vanished into the morning sun. I thought working the night shift would be easy. Just me, a quiet gas station, and the hum of the fridges. Until I checked the security camera and saw someone standing in aisle 3. The problem? I was supposed to be alone. I've never told this story to anyone. Not my friends, not my family, because saying it out loud makes it real, and I'm not sure I can handle that. But I have to tell it, before I forget again. This happened a few months ago. I was working at a gas station off Route 29, out in the middle of nowhere. 10 miles from town, no neighbors, just a flickering neon sign. Truckers would stop by, grab coffee, and leave. Nothing ever happened. Until that night. It was a cold spring night. I pulled my jacket tight and settled in. Checked the 4 security monitors, black and white, grainy, all clear. But the silence felt wrong, heavy, like the air was pressing down on me. Around midnight, one monitor flickered. The one for aisle 3 where the snacks are. Just static for a second, then it cleared. I figured it was a loose wire, but something in my gut told me to keep watching. A few minutes later, I saw it. A blur on the monitor like someone walking past the chips. I looked up, expecting a customer. Nothing. I called out, "Hey, anyone there?" No answer, just the buzz of the lights. Around 2:07 a.m., I heard something. A faint scrape, like metal on tile. I walked toward aisle 3 and found a Coca-Cola can lying on the floor, slowly spinning. I hadn't touched that row all night. I picked up the can, put it back. Tried to shrug it off. But when I got to the counter, the monitor for aisle 3 wasn't empty. Someone was standing there. Tall, still, facing the camera. I looked out. Nobody. My heart was racing. I ran to the front door, locked. No broken windows, no open vents. There was no way anyone got in. But the monitor still showed them, standing there like they knew I was watching. I grabbed a flashlight and went to aisle 3. Halfway down, I saw him. A man in an old jacket, standing at the end of the aisle. Just a glimpse before he was gone, like he melted into the shadows. I rushed back to the counter. The monitors were glitching, static, lines, noise. Then for a split second I saw a face, too close to the camera. No details, just eyes, staring right at me. Then I heard a crash from the stockroom, heavy, like boxes falling. I didn't want to go, but something made me move, like I had to know. The stockroom was chaos, boxes everywhere. But in the corner there was a red light, blinking, slow, like a heartbeat. I couldn't look away. It felt alive. I backed out, heart pounding. I felt it, a cold presence right behind me. I glanced at the monitor. The figure was standing behind me. I spun around. Nothing. As I stood there, a memory hit me. Something vague, like a dream. I'd been in that stockroom before, and something bad happened, but I couldn't pin it down. I couldn't take it anymore. I rewound the tape to the start of my shift, and there it was. The figure, in the background, every single night I'd worked. Always in aisle 3, always watching. I paused the frame, zoomed in. The figure's jacket. It was mine. Same cut, same tear on the sleeve. My hands started shaking. How was that possible? The lights above me flickered. The monitors went black. And in the darkness, I heard it. A whisper. Not words, just my name. Over and over. There's a small mirror by the coffee machine. I glanced at it just to ground myself, but I wasn't there. The mirror showed him, the man from the tape, standing alone, staring back, and then it all came back. That night, months ago, the stockroom, a scream, my scream, the red light pulling me in, the cold, the blood on the floor. I watched the footage again. Saw myself being dragged into the dark, into that blinking red light. I didn't make it out. I never left. But I'm still here. Every night, same shift, same silence. Sometimes I think someone will see me on the monitors, see me staring back. But no one ever does. If you work a night shift, check the corners, check the cameras. And if you see someone who looks like you, don't go into the back room, ever. So, what do you think? Was I already gone? Or was something else wearing my face? Tell me in the comments and stay tuned for Nightmare Tales' next story, about a little girl who warned me not to look under the bed, and what I found when I did. You won't sleep after that one.